What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 1 of Conscious Conversations. I am your host, Amit Danu, and today I have a very special guest. His name is Carlo Cirillo, or Conscious Carlo. I first met him in Bali, an event called Elevate. And for me, he's super giving, and he's always circulating good energy to his community, which is something I really took notice of when I first, came across him and started to speak to him. And he's a huge action taker in the conscious community, which was inspiring for me, and has led me to take more action in my life. He's a podcaster. He is the founder of Be Conscious podcast. So I'll link that below this in the notes, which is a powerful podcast for exploring everything that is tapping into the human potential and stories and lessons that people have gained through their experience. He's also a graphic designer and a coach, mentor, speaker, co-founder of the Conscious Collective Hub, where he runs events and retreats through. So all in all, basically a very potent individual in the conscious space that's doing a lot. So welcome, Carlo. How are you doing today?
Amit, thank you so much for that amazing intro. I wish everyone could introduce me like that when I enter a room. It's a pleasure to be here, man. It's an honor to be on this as well. Episode number 1. How exciting! I'm super excited for you. I'm doing amazingly. We're in such a different time zone right now. It's like 9 p.m. for me. I'm ready for bed. After this, I'm going to snuggle up in bed, and I'm probably going to meditate first and then catch some Z's. But I think for you, it's like daytime or morning. So
yeah, it's 11 a.m. right now. So very different what we're doing. I'm kind of like getting energy out and like pushing through, and you're like meditating and slowing down. So yeah, we're in different spaces right now. But I'm really happy to have you on this podcast, man, and I appreciate you being on this first episode. How I want to start is something I was really curious about. How did you become conscious, Carlo? What was the shift, the awakening? What was the story between being Carlo, which you still are, but becoming conscious Carlo?
You know what? Conscious Carlo only came really recently in terms of that putting the C and C together. I had the Conscious podcast for about 12 months, and then someone said, "Hey, Conscious Carlo," and I went, "That's going to stick. Like, why have I not hashtagged that or branded that as my personal brand?" So I stuck with that. But I guess when I became conscious, wow. So I was very unconscious until there was different points in my life where pivotal things happened, which then allowed me to step into more conscious, to become more woke, awakening moments. And I think the first one for me was when I was 19, and I was introduced to a lot of personal development. And before that, I was never someone to read a book. I wouldn't listen to an audio. I wouldn't listen to a podcast or watch a seminar or anything like that. But as soon as I entered this business with a company with a lot of different people that were very similar, they were like, "You need to start listening to Tony Robbins. You need to listen to Jim Rohn and all these types of people." And everything just started expanding. I got onto Joe Dispenza, Dr. John DeMartini, and it was just ever since then, it's just kind of heightened. And I think I've just fallen in love with consciousness. And then when I went to start a podcast, I was like, what's a catchy name? You don't want to go too flavor of the month, and you want to have something that will stick for a long time. And I was like, what am I passionate about? It's, I'm not going to call it like the helping podcast or the personal growth podcast. All those things were taken. So I was like, the conscious podcast. All my episodes and my guests are with people that are conscious, that are doing conscious, running conscious businesses, that are consciously making a big impact in the world. So I think it all fit together. And like I said, I think it might have been at soccer training, someone yelled out, "Hey, Conscious Carlo," and I just went, "Yeah, that's me."
Yeah, man. So it was basically being around a different set of people that kind of changed your value system and allowed you to see a new perspective on life.
Mm-hmm. And that's played a part in so many different ways along the journey. Just like in Bali where we met at Elevate, you surround yourself with people that are in the same circle, that are growing, evolving, that are willing and choosing to elevate themselves. Then you're just going to feed off that energy and take in so much knowledge.
Mm, mm. And it's really different to the footballing community, right? And you were a footballer, right? So before then, you
Was
were around,
retired.
yeah, retired footballer, and it's a very different community, right? Like the footballing community to the conscious community.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And I don't know if if it's the same over in England. No, I didn't play any games in London, but when I was in Europe, it's a camaraderie thing, and it's still a good environment to be around. But I still see the other side of it, where it's like, let's go play soccer, and then after training, let's grab some beers with the guys, and it's there's really no conscious conversation there, and that's, for me, it's like it doesn't align with my values, and that conversation has a time and place.
mhm.
But I seen beneath all the crap that they were talking about, and I was like, I want to talk about the deep stuff. You guys don't want to get there. You numb it with alcohol and whatever else you're taking to avoid all these things. I like getting stuck into this deep stuff so I can evolve and grow and find out more about your vulnerabilities in your life.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like, that's good, all good and well in a certain container, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that can be fun and all that stuff. But I think there is another side where people miss out on if they don't go deeper into their psyche, deeper into their psychology, and find out, look, what's actually going to take me into a space where I feel like really whole as a person. Um, so yeah, I see that as a lot of the times bridging different sides of myself to see who I actually want to be, and not disowning any part of that either. Not disowning like, oh yeah, you can have fun and do all this, while also being conscious man at the same time.
Yeah, this is something I battled with because it was like, what does it mean to be conscious? Like, do I have to wear feathers? Do I have to wear like a poncho? Do I have to have face paint on and run cacao ceremonies and stuff like that? And it's like, no, you just do your everyday life, but be more conscious in the choices that you make.
Yeah, I had that same sort of thing where I was like, you have to pick a team. Like I could be the conscious team
Mhm.
or the other team, right? Or this other side of life. I have to pick. I have to go all in, all in, and really truly, it was just like, no, I can just be myself. What
Mm.
is actually the person I want to be in every single area? I can want a fast car, or have an expensive times here and there, and I also be having cacao ceremonies and going on sound journeys. There's no part of me that has to be disowned, and I feel like like people like me and you are all about bridging those areas together and allowing you to be completely free as an individual.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because, like you said, you don't have to. I know there's a big thing around the moment, like, delete these people out of your life and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but some of those people are your best friends. You don't need to. Like, you can have your conscious friends and be around that environment. And you can also have, your friends that aren't so, let's say, spiritual, conscious, growth mindset. And that's okay. That's life. We're always going to yin and yang. You got to balance ebb and flow between everything.
Yeah, 100%. And so when you went deeper in your journey, how did it get deeper? Like, was there different stages? How did you become deeper and deeper into this sort of conscious community, conscious deviling, like diving in deep into your own psychology and mindset and all those things? How did it just keep going from that point where you started?
Yep. Good question. I think for me, it was just along the journey. There was different points that came up. Those pivotal points in life. At 19, it started with a car accident, and then from there, seeing a sports psychologist, which then opened my mind to goal setting and stuff like that, but in a very clinical setting. And then at 21, playing soccer in Europe, and then realizing, getting dropped by my agent, by my team as well, being told to quit. It was like I had to reassess things in myself, but I had something to fall back on. I had people that were supporting me and saying, listen to this, read this. And that was like, okay, that was the whole goal setting or having a career, the identity. That's what kind of broke me down. And I lost my identity. I was a soccer player. I was Carlo, the soccer player. And from there, when you lose something like your identity, you go soul searching. You go, who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do in life? What impact do I want to have? And it was different audios, different podcasts, different YouTube videos that it just was really intriguing to me to find out more about myself. Not so much about the mind and how it works and all that sort of stuff. I still love that. But it was like, what about, like, I want to go deeper into me, because I feel like I had an awakening very young. Like at 19, 18, 19 is very young. And I meet some people, I've met some people recently that are 30s, in their 40s, almost 50s, where they're starting to have that awakening. They're like, shit, what have I been doing for this long? Like, why did I not see this? And I guess, look, I'm blessed. Everyone's got their own journey. Don't compare. Wherever you're at in your conscious level and whatever age you're at is exactly where you need to be. And I think for me, those events that happened then led me on to one of my first mentors in my life, who taught me a deep level of gratitude, how to practice it, and showing me that it is a choice to do whatever you want to do. If you want to wake up and be grateful, you choose to be grateful. It's not you just wake up and go, I'm grateful. You're choosing that. You're making these choices. And for me, it was making those choices that led to more consciousness, that led to more growth, that led to more knowledge, that led to more community, that led to all the things that I wanted in life. And then I was listening to a podcast with Vision Lakiani and Joel Brown, one of our good mates. And Joel was saying that, you got these 3 questions from Jordan Belfort, and it was, what are you good at? What do you love? And how are you going to impact the world doing that? And then I mixed it in with another question, which was, what would you do and love every single day, even if you weren't paid? And it was like, it kind of hit me hard, because I'm like, I never thought of doing anything, let's say, for free for having an impact, let alone doing something I loved. I was always doing stuff because I thought it's what I needed to do, which made me delve deeper into, what do you actually want? And I met certain people along the way, mentors, coaches, partners in relationships that knew certain things that have been further along the journey than me, that taught me, I guess, fast-tracked my awakening to get to where I am now. And that's why, like, I'm 25 right now, and a lot of people go, you're 5 years ahead of where you should be spiritually. Like, not many people this age are this conscious and stuff like that, like running podcasts, running businesses, company and all that. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, I don't compare. I just always felt like I had an older soul. I connected with people in this realm that were always growing, that were talking about dreams, that were talking about vulnerability and stuff like that. And I guess to wrap up that question in a very long way, just the pivotal points along my journey where it broke me down and I had to go soul searching, and the people that stepped in to then help me along the way.
Yeah, man. Like, I'd loved hearing you just riff over that. I think you made, there were so many powerful points in there. Like, for me, it was like, and this is for like the audience, it's like wherever you are.
Yeah. How did it happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really long story, I guess. And I'm interviewing you, but I'll riff a little bit. So, like, firstly, I just want to say that it's not about where you are in your, like, how old you are in your spiritual journey, because, like Carlo said, like, that's exactly where you're meant to be at this point in journey. And some people, they're like, you're so young and all this thing, and it's not like that. It's like, I feel like I had an old soul too, so I've maybe been through more before this lifetime, and that's how I see things. But for me, it was just, I had my family life was troubled in many ways, and so it was a big pain point for me. And then I was just living within the social circus. I was just following the crowd. I was doing what everyone else would do. So that'd be like, oh, let's get drunk, let's just have fun, let's just, dress like other people were dressing, like, just be like what the crowd, what was most popular at that time. That was kind of what I did. And when I was 21, I really fell for this girl, and for the first time, I really fell for someone, and we couldn't be together for religious reasons. She was a different religion to me. And that really put me in a dark night of the soul situation, where I really felt back then I really felt like heartbroken. And then I started to like, I was like so rock bottom that I had to find something to pull me out. And I guess through books, I started reading about religion. And I found Buddhism, and I started to really realize how much potency is in religion. Like, I'm not religious, I don't follow the rules part of it, but like Buddhism, in terms of like meditation, I started to meditate and start to go on like this big journey where it started from there, this big pain point, like dark, depressive state. And then it awakened me to what's actually possible in this lifetime. And then the journey just gets deeper and deeper. As you go down the rabbit hole, it's like the rabbit hole gets a little bigger and bigger, and then you see like how deep it actually goes.
It's never ending.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. And you sometimes you think you know it all at one point, or you might think you know a lot, and then you realize like a couple of years later or a year later that you just didn't know that much.
Yeah, I just seen a post about that the other day on Instagram, and it was like, just when you think you know it all, you've got it all, the universe will be like, here's some challenges to go on top of that growth, and then some growth to go on that challenges, and some more challenges to go on that challenges, just to make sure that you're humble enough to keep going. Don't think like you know it all. There's always space to evolve and grow.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I see the power of mentorship, because when you're like a mentee, you're always kind of going in there with beginner's mind. That's why one of the things I see the power of having mentors is also not allowing your ego to get hold of you in terms of, I know everything. It's like I'm always like beginner's mind, beginner's mind. What does this person have to teach me? What does this person can I don't know it. I don't know everything. So let them teach me. And then you have to be able to, like, I think the stage that we're in, we're teaching a lot of people, but we also have to understand that we're beginners too.
100%. Like, I think Bali broke it down for me. It was like, I'm stepping into coaching, I've been podcasting, I'm running events, went to Bali. Ego was like, you got this, man. Like, you're all good. Like, you're just going to be here just to connect with people. Come out of it crying after day one. All this stuff's coming up. I've got a meal going, this. And I'm like, you've always got, you never reach a height where you're like, this is it. Like you said, you constantly keep evolving and growing and teaching along the way, so it embodies into you even more. But this is why I invest in coaches and mentors. I know for some people it's like, why would you invest in someone to tell you what to do when you already know it? There's so many different elements to it where you can grow and learn and keep accountable. That's why I see it as so important to have mentors in your life, like you were saying, coaches, especially when there's a monetary investment there to keep you accountable, because they're going to give you the most value in your life. I had a coaching call this today, and she's like, I want to hire you. And I'm like, you don't even know what I do yet. And she's like, yeah, but I've seen what you do for other people, and I've seen the results you get, and I know your vibe. Can we do it? And I'm like, let's go through the process first, because I need to see if you're committed and accountable to yourself. Because I can keep someone accountable, but if you're not willing to do the work, there's no point. And just like me going to this event, I knew I was willing to do the work. My ego was like, nope, close off. I don't want to hear any of this. I've heard it all before. I've listened to a million podcasts. It's fine. No, it's like you need to always be doing the work internally to keep growing, become more conscious, and just evolve.
Hell yeah, man. And I think, for you to say that is really vulnerable and important, because some people can just look maybe at certain things that you're doing and be like, oh, he's got everything shit together, his whole life's handled, like he's living this perfect life. It's like, no, we go through shit too. Like I go through shit daily, or I go through stuff when things happen. And I know that I have to do the work myself to keep going, keep being the best person I can be.
Yeah. Hanade O'Brien, who is one of the most successful transformational coaches, who was on my podcast a couple of episodes ago, he explained that one of the quotes I took from what he was saying was, don't get too good at life that you forget to be human. There's light, there's dark, there's ups and downs. Like we were just saying just then, shit's going to happen. Like you're going to go through challenges in life. Don't think you can go positivity, gratitude, and nothing bad's going to happen. Life is there to throw things at you. It's how you respond to it. It's, can you overcome this? And things get hard. Like I've had things get hard in my life. Even recently, But it's like, okay, calm. What are you going to choose? How are you going to choose how to react here? Just like yourself just then. Breathe into it. Center yourself. Cool. I get to overcome this challenge. I get to face this challenge. I'm grateful for that.
Mm. And I like the language used. I get to have this challenge. I don't. It's not like, oh my God, I have to go through this. This is bullshit. Why me? It's more, I get to do this because this is what's calling me forward, and this is maybe what I have to go through to take me to the next level to support more people or to impact people in a greater way. So, yeah.
Totally agree.
And speaking about, the questions you asked, like Jordan Belford asked you, and how those questions are really important to actually answer for people and answer for yourself. And then you mentioned there was this gratitude practice you learned. Could you share that practice that you?
Yeah, this. I can fast track it. So I do have it on my website in a PDF form, and I
Okay.
do have it in my coaching program, which is free as well on Facebook.
Yeah, we will put all of that too, because I think that'll be really
Yeah,
useful for my audience.
yeah. So in the 5-day challenge, the 5-day craft your conscious life, the first day is gratitude, because I believe if you can approach your day, start your day with gratitude, you're setting yourself up for the best situation possible, the best attitude possible. So for me, when I seen this guy, it was at a seminar. He wasn't the guy speaking, he was the guy behind the scenes, but he just had an energy about him, and I was like, I need to go say hello. No one was around him. They were all around the speakers, or busy eating or whatever. And I just went up and said, I want to know more about you. Tell me about you. He told me his story, and I was like, whoa, this is a guy that, had everything, but then had it taken. He went over. So he had, the multi-million-dollar business. He had the girl. He had the house. He had the cars. Went overseas on holiday and got a phone call saying that one of his business partners took over everything. He had no money. Like, it was just all taken away from him. And then shortly after, the girl left, all that sort of stuff. So he was literally at rock bottom type thing. And he was in the gym and he was like working out, but almost like trying to hurt himself working out. And another guy came over and like he had his hat down, and the guy just came and like flicked his hat off. And he's like, "What are you doing, man? Like, you don't have to be like this. No matter what's happening in your life, you don't have to be like this." And he was taken back, and he was just like, I don't like, why is someone actually talking to me when I've got my hat down, my headphones on? But he's like, okay, there's something to this. And for me, that situation that he did to me, not physically, but I was explaining my life, and I was going, I did this, but but I didn't achieve professional for soccer. I have had this company, but it went to zero, a couple of years later because I didn't put the processes in place. And he's like, what are you proud of? What are you grateful for? And I said, my family. He's like, okay. But what about your journey, what you've done in your life, what you've achieved? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm grateful because it would led to some of the worst things that had happened in my life. And he's like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mentor you for 30 days. And the first, every day you're going to send me 3 gratitudes via voice note, and they have to be deep. They have to be sincere, or I'm going to call you out on it. And if you don't do it, it's $50 donated to a charity each day, 30 days. It's not hard. Simple accountability. And in that gratitude, he taught me how to go through it. And he goes, pick the worst thing that has ever happened to you. And you're going to find 3 things to be grateful for in that.
Oh.
3 different things. But how you're going to express that gratitude is, number 1, you can be very vague with what you say in gratitude. I'm grateful for my life. There's nothing wrong with that, but let's go deeper. Like, that's very surface. Like, I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for my family. It's all good. But when you practice deep gratitude, you can find gratitude in every single thing, from this computer screen to these headphones, to this mic, to this sock covering the mic, to my beard, to my eyes, to my eyebrows, to my hair, to my skin, to my bones, to my blood. So for me, going through that was, when you get really specific on something, you need to pinpoint something. So the example I use is, because a lot of people like to use people in their life, I would say I'm sincerely grateful for the hug I shared with my mother when she got home from work. Specific. It's not just my mum. It's a specific action of giving her a hug. Now, why am I grateful for that? People would just say, oh, I'm just grateful because I love hugs, and it's my mum. And that again, it qualifies. It's still a right answer, but let's go deep. How it affects you on an emotional level, and anything else that comes up in there, how it affects the people around you, and then how that affects the planet around you. Zoom out even further. So how it affects me is I am sincerely grateful that I got to share that hug with my mother after work, because it shares love between us. It shows me that we care about each other, that we love each other. And no, we didn't have to say I love you, but with sharing a hug with the woman that gave me birth, that brought me into this world, is a special thing. And I used to live away for so long, and to be able to see her every day and give her a hug is special for me. I feel loved, I feel warm, I feel connected, I feel safe being able to share that hug with my mum. And how that affects the people around me, well, it affects my mother directly because she's getting the same feelings back, but it also affects my family and my friends around me, because they know that I share a loving connection and relationship with my mother. They me feeling all those things, they know that I'm going to be looked after when I'm at home. I always have a safe spot to come home to, that my mum is loving and caring for me. Zoom out even further. How does that have anything to do with the world on a bigger scale? Me sharing love with my mother and my family, the people close to me that I love, just through a simple hug, just flows a ripple effect onto the world. So if other people, and I know some people don't even have their mothers, so to be able to give my mother a hug, and if everyone was hugging their mother, sharing love between family members, through friends, through partners, just in a simple action of a hug, how much more love would there be in the world? How much would that affect people to come home and not just, people come home from work and they just go straight into TV, Netflix, dinner, whatever it may be. Just give someone a hug for 20 seconds. How much more love would there be in the world if we all just did that? And I know I'm guilty of it. Some days I've come home, come straight to my laptop and got stuck into work. It's like, nah, go give mum a hug, because you never know how that's going to affect that person, what they've been through that day. Just a simple hug, a proper hug, not like a away hug, like a bear hug. Just share that love. And that's where going through a deep level of gratitude, you don't just I do it before my meditation. I do a Ziva practice, so it's 15 minutes, no guided, nothing. And after you do like your body scan and radiate love, you go through these 3 things of gratitude. You can't help but smile, because everything you come up with, you're just like, man, I'm so grateful for it, because it doesn't just affect me, it affects everyone around me, it affects the planet. So once you know how to do that, and for me, once I knew how to do that, it was like, my mentor was like, you need to go to every terrible thing that's happened to you that you think is the worst thing ever, that you can't find any good in, and you need to find gratitude in those, because when you can find gratitude, you can find the lesson. It turns those mistakes, those terrible moments, into blessings.
Damn. Yeah, like that was juicy, man. That was so, I think that was so helpful, like so helpful to me, and I'm sure everyone that will be listening to this, because I feel like sometimes people just say gratitude practice, just like, I'll write down 3 things, and it doesn't land on their body. It doesn't land vibrationally. It's just like you're doing the thing just because someone told you to write some stuff out. And it's totally different to doing something and embodying that thing. And so when we go deeper, right? When we go, okay, why am I grateful? Emotionally, how does this impact? How does it impact more people? It's like, well, then I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the gratitude. I'm allowing it to come through me. And that's how you actually want to move, because then you actually feel gratitude. And then you're moving through life with gratitude instead of just, oh, I'm grateful in the head. It's not as powerful.
And not to say, like, I see it a lot, and it's like, write your gratitude list of 3 things or 10 things or 20 things. I don't see it as a bad thing at all. Like, it's still, a step along the right path. You're setting the intention every morning. What am I grateful for? But if you're just writing, I'm grateful for my life, my car, my heart, my lungs, all that. And it's not, like you said, it's not getting to the why. You're not embodying that gratitude. And when you start to embody it, you smile, you almost cry, because you're like, oh man, I'm so grateful. And then it just ingrains in your head. So now I don't write anything down anymore. I know it's a good way to start. I used to do that a lot. But now it's just automatically in my head. Anything could happen. And trust me, like I said before, stuff happens that annoys me, that goes wrong, all of that. And it's just like, interesting. Why am I grateful for this? And people around me are like, what? Like, how are you so calm? Like, why are you saying this? Like, why are you grateful? You should be angry. And I'm like, yeah, but it's just a thing that's happened. I'm choosing how to react. And I'd rather live with a grateful heart than anything else.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. It's as I said, we're humans. We're having this human experience, and it's just repetition is great, and consciously choosing how I want to feel and having the tools there comes from the practice, and it's a discipline, right? It's like you've practiced it so much that now it comes naturally to you, even when it's really like tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were talking about like hugging, how because sometimes we think we have to do these grandiose things to have an impact, right? It's like, oh, I have to do a speech or all these things, and have events, and yeah, those things are amazing. But how about you just sit with someone and listen to them for 2 minutes? How about you really be present with your family member? Or how about you just really allow someone to be themselves around you, or give them that hug, right? Like a proper, meaningful hug. That can change so much. Just that butterfly effect could change their whole day, then someone else's day, and then their life might change. They might keep thinking about that moment the whole week, and that could just make their week. So those small things carry forward in a big way.
Mm-hmm. And it comes from, and this is a program that I'm working on now, is like the internal conscious awareness. The certain areas, you've got your mindset, your heart set, your soul set, and your body set. But then the external, how your awareness and your consciousness, how that then, what you do, the choices you make, let's say, by being grateful, by having that conversation, by being vulnerable and expressing your truth, how that affects the planet, how that affects your choices, which then affects other people's lives. And it's a massive wormhole to go down, and it's amazing. I love teaching it. I love doing it. But like you said, the simple things of a conversation, listening to someone, not having your phone there, or if it is having a phone call that's just an hour, and just listening. Some people just want someone to talk to.
Yeah, it's like, I think when you understand the reasons or why it's important, then your kind of actions change. You're like, oh, it's bigger than just this one thing. It's way bigger than that, and the butterfly effect is really real. I want to talk about, like, you live in a van, right?
I'm not in the van right now, but yeah, it's parked out at the front.
So like, you're probably, maybe like, I met one other guy that does this. What was the motivation between living in a van? Like, why would you do that?
Okay, so this was a very, I was like, yeah, be a yes man and like spontaneous. And when I feel something, it's like, I got to do it. I'll take action on it. Whether it's creating an event, a program, anything like that. Very, very in my masculine when it comes to that. Like, I know that is very strong in my life, where it's like, take action, just do it. Find a way to make it happen. And I had been looking at van life on Instagram, on YouTube, on Netflix, and I'm like, how freeing would it be to reduce all my life into a van, that minimal lifestyle? But for me, it was also very strategic. So where I live is like in the middle of Australia. It's from the nearest capital city. There's 3 capital cities like around us. One's 4 hours, one's 6 hours, and one's 12 hours. All my podcast guests, because I do them face to face, were along the east coast of Australia. Beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's amazing. When you come down, you can come in the van. I'll show you. But all my guests were all in these places, and I'm like, if I have to fly to these places, stay in hotels, get myself around, this is going to cost me so much. And don't get me wrong, when I started the podcast, and even last year, I wasn't in a very good financial spot. So when it got to New Year's this year of 2019, I just went, you know what? I'm going to be doing a heap of podcasts, a heap of traveling. I want to be out in nature more. I want to have more freedom in terms of where I go, when I go. I can sleep anywhere. It's got a bed, it's got a shower, I can cook in it, there's solar, so all my laptops and everything work in there. And I'm like, I just want that. You know, sometimes when you really want to be alone, and I can be very is it introverted. I'm both. I
Mm.
can be around a lot of people, but also want to be by myself. Some nights in the van when I'm just along I park up at a beach and, you know, open up the back and I'm just either playing my guitar or on my laptop. I'm like, this is me being just present in life and enjoying it. And I think for me, it was like, again, spur of the moment. I'm like, oh, I'll get it in a year. And my friend's like, difference. Why are you waiting? And I just went, all right, I'll buy it. And I bought it. So it's been 4 months. And now when I come back home, I stay in my parents' house. It's silly to sleep outside when there's a great bed and stuff here. But it's a very interesting lifestyle.
Yeah, like I can see that like being so scary for me on so many levels. Like, like comfort. How am I going to survive? Like,
Yeah.
is this right for me? But it seemed like it's supported you in like building a vision, and it's been and maybe feeling more freedom in your life, and also seeing like, okay, I can actually do this. If I can do this, maybe I can do anything else in my life.
Mm. And I think it's been from a young age because I moved 6 hours away when I was to Melbourne when I was 16 for soccer, for football. So for me, it was like I had to grow up real quickly and I knew that I could survive by myself anyway. Then I had to move to Europe at 19, live out of a suitcase type thing. So this is no different. It's definitely challenging, not having all the basic, you know, amenities that you always have in your house, like aircon, cooling, heating, toilet, all that sort of stuff. But I have the lifestyle, like I've set everything up that I can literally work from anywhere. That nomad lifestyle, everything's run from my laptop. All I need is power, and I'm set. So it was like, why not?
It's definitely a good talking point too. People should be like, oh, what? You live in a van, really?
Everyone thinks I'd have like dreadlocks and tie dye and be like a big hippie, and I'm like,
Yeah,
maybe, but not yet.
that's like conscious Harlow, conscious color
Yeah.
5 or something. I don't know. So I wanted to ask you, like, what challenges are you facing right now in your life?
Okay, so I'm going to be really open and vulnerable about this one. She's going to laugh. So I'm dating someone right now, and I haven't dated someone for 6 years. Um, Getting very close. So relationships has been a block in my life because of seeing stuff growing up, but then also my first relationship. And right now, it's basically I've gotten everything I've asked for in terms of my conscious queen,
Hmm.
and she showed up, and that's triggering me because it's like, oh, you get close to someone, you move away, but they were always not the right person. Now you've got the right person, everything's handed to you on a platter. What are you going to do? Are you going to take it, or are you going to sabotage yourself on this because of old patterns? So that's one that I'm facing at the moment. But you know, it's amazing when you find someone that's so open and vulnerable to talk about these things. Exactly what I'm saying right now, I've spoken to her about, and she's on that same level. I'd love to talk about her, but I won't because I'll go on all night. It's just incredible human. You're going to meet her soon, so
Awesome.
it'll be awesome. But what else am I facing? Getting pulled in so many different directions, not knowing which one to choose. When my saying at the moment is, when it flows, it floods. Because I've opened myself up to everything, I'm open to receiving. I've got my vision, I've got my plan. I feel like I'm going to hit my 5-year vision in 1 year, and it's a lot to take on board because it's like, how do you live life doing all these things? And you know, I know my schedule is very different to the next person. For someone that just works a normal job and maybe plays a sport and then goes home, it's very different. I'm always on. I do have my off times, but it's like, okay, like I might have to sell my van and move, let's say, to Bali. I'm going to be in that like the next few months. There's 3 countries coming up. End of the year's Costa Rica. So it's like all these events that I'm running, hosting. It's like, this is actually a business now, Carlo. Like you wanted this. How are you going to handle it?
Mm.
What do you need to face? What do you need to go within and do? And I think, and my last challenge is right now is actually looking after me. Um, I've neglected my health and my fitness. You would have seen on Instagram, I'm posting it up now to keep myself socially accountable. I've got a coach that's helping me in that area. It's, you can't, your greatest wealth is your health. Like, you can't be the best you can be if you're not looking after your body, if you're, drinking alcohol excessively, if you're eating bad foods, if you're not looking after yourself, you're not working out, you're not meditating. Yes, there's the self-love part, but there's also the physical love as well. And I think for me, it was a challenge because it's like, I'd rather get up and respond to the 20 messages I've got. And it's like, no, you come first. It's not selfish to put yourself first. And you need to do that, because if you're not here, how are you going to serve anyone?
1,000%, man. Like, people could say, oh, things are selfish, when it's really self-love. And how can you, impact people if you're not loving yourself and you're not operating at your highest level? And on the relationship stuff, because we spoke about that in Bali briefly, and
we haven't had a chat about this, so this will be interesting.
yeah, like, we spoke, like, you were like calling in, right? You were calling in.
Yep.
You told me, we were saying like, how do we call this in? And you were saying, yeah, this, and it was the intention out there. And I just wanted to mention, like, there's people, like, even if, like, say our career is going really well, there might be other areas we have blocks in. And so someone might be really good in one area, but also other areas, there might be some patterns that might be there that might have been limiting towards this certain aspect of their lives. And so it's good to be aware of where, like, how your life is sitting in a whole sense, and understanding, like, okay, well, it seems like I haven't been in a relationship for a long time. Why could that be? Why was that? Do I desire it right now? Am I desiring it? And consciously working through things, like, and setting intentions to actually make those areas better. And then you're saying how, having self-care is so important, how self-care is the number one thing. And I agree, because, and how I do it is normally my first, like, 4 hours at least are my hours. So there's to myself.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you've kind of
That's good.
I put you in this morning, Carlo, but normally it would just be me. So, like, the first 4 hours for me is like meditation. It's like my practices, and it's like a bit of journaling, and then it's just like doing what I want to do, maybe working out, maybe doing some work, whatever I want to do, really. And I think I feel so much more connected to my higher self from doing that than if I was like, pick up the phone and then react to everyone else's wishes of me. So we have to put ourselves first, and we have to take care of our health, and we have to do all these things, because I think they are even more important than everything else, because that's how our impact gets delivered through that vehicle that you've produced in yourself. And so it's the number one thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, and two things on that. One thing is that I literally just posted before a post on Instagram that was, real self-love is calling yourself out on your shit in order to grow. And it's because you need to be assessing yourself all the time. Again, that relationship one, what's the pattern here? You meet amazing people. Why doesn't it progress? Maybe it's a money limitation. You always get to this amount, but then you come back to zero. Maybe it's in your career, I get the opportunities, but then I fail at my job, or I quit, or I don't take that opportunity. It's noticing what's happening and calling yourself out. But then the big thing is calling yourself out, but call yourself forward. And that's why having a coach or a mentor is so important, because they can see when you're going too far into the darkness, or too far left, or too far right, and they can keep you on track and say from a different perspective and go, okay, I'm going to call you out on this. That doesn't align with you or your values or your vision or your identity. But how can I support you in doing that? Like, are you happy with this? Do you want to change? That's a big thing about consciousness. Do you want to be living the life you're living right now? Or is there something else that you may need to shift into? And if you're not clear on, like, what we learned in Bali, like your values, your identity, and your vision, then you don't know. And then when you don't know, you fear what's happening next, which brings anxiety, which brings whatever else, which means you're unaware of what's happened in the past, which is then affecting your present and your future, which means you're not actually being present. So the self-love that you want to give yourself just isn't there. But you might go have a wine and chocolate and say self-love. That's not self-love. But the second thing on that was, you were talking about being responsive. So Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot. And he goes, in our brains, we've got tabs, just like on our and if we have 100 tabs sitting there on our browser, our internet browser, whether you use Safari or Chrome, whatever, it slows down. You can't focus on every single tab. And if you're waking up and you're being responsive straight away, that means your mind goes straight to emails, Twitter, Snapchat, maybe Tinder, Facebook, Instagram. That's like that many things already taken up in your brain. And that's going to be your whole day. You're just going to be looking. It's like you said, you're responsive to everything that's happening. Whereas if you wake up and maybe do some yoga or some stretching, do some breathing, you meditate, you really connect with yourself, you work out, you move your body, you have a hot shower, then a cold shower, you drink your cacao, you journal, you write your gratitudes, you embody your gratitudes. What do you think is going to give you a better result? And you know what? Every time I haven't done it, I've always gone, I feel better when I do it. Even though it takes up an hour of my day, it does not feel like a chore. It is, every time I've done it, that day has been amazing and better than the days when I haven't done it.
Yeah, because that hour amplifies every single other hour. So every other hour is more potent because you did that hour.
It's almost like you gain time. You gain, oh, what's the word? You gain.
I like the gain time thing. I think you do
You
gain
gain
time.
life. Like it's more passion, more intention, more purpose in your life.
In every moment, right? And that's where every moment is more juicy because of that. And that is making time in one way. It's like more impact for every single part of your life.
Totally agree.
And so this question is, if you were to be completely present and here, and you were to send a message to say, like, a really recent realization or something that's really transformed you, very present to you today, what would that thing be?
So who am I sending this to?
Just like the audience, whoever speaks to you. It's like something very recent that's caused a shift, or something that you've just learned about yourself, or something that's very like present now.
I'd say it's very top of mind every single day recently, and I was about to get it tattooed on me. And that is, I am exactly where I need to be. And I want everyone to say it back to yourself, because there is no changing the past. You can only be exactly where you are right now. The universe has, whether you believe it or not, has circled this little dot on the map for you right now. And this situation, these challenges, everything you're doing right now is exactly where you need to be to move forward. Don't try and think, I wish it was like this, I wish it was like that. No, you're exactly where you need to be, going through the things you're going through, thinking the things you're going through. You get the choice now to be conscious, to make the decisions you want to make, to live the life you want to live. So right now, I am exactly where I need to be.
I felt that, brother. I felt that. And thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that message in such a powerful, embodied way. I can tell that that's how you are, how you're feeling, and that's a really strong message you're getting. And thanks for channeling that. And I think that's it's a great way to like wrap up the podcast. And I think that's a great way to sort of leave off and allow people to reflect, and just know that, wherever you are is exactly where you need to be, is at all times, in all ways. So if I loved speaking to you, Carlo. This was awesome, man. How can people find you? What are you doing in the world? How can people work with you as a man? And because you have so much to offer in so many different ways, and you're so caring, and genuine person, and I know you want everyone to succeed, and you've helped me so much, and even setting up this podcast, and I really appreciate you for that. Deeply grateful. So how can people work with you?
Yeah, of course. Like, thank you so much. Like, this is like I'm receiving all this love. Heart is full, but I'm sending it all back, brother. Like, for you to ask me to be on here is like, dream come true for a child. My inner child's like, yeah, like this is amazing. I've always wanted to talk to people, connect with people around the world that share the same mindset, and to share my truth, because everyone has something valuable to offer. You are valuable because you exist. Yaya Bakar. Like, such a beautiful message. So if you want to connect with me, Instagram's massive for me. So at Carlo_Cirillo. I'm sure we'll put that in the show notes. My website is www.carlocirillo.com. And then basically in my Instagram, if you go into my bio, there's a link tree link there, and it has everything. So if you want to jump in the 5-day free Craft Your Conscious Life challenge, it's there. If you want to listen to the podcast, the link's there. If you want to find it otherwise on iTunes or Spotify, it's The Conscious Podcast. And everything else is on those links. And I try to post a photo every single day, stories, wisdom tips, but then also what I'm going through, to try and share that with others, to show that it's, this is the journey. Everything's part of it. And that, I'm just trying to impact as many people as I can through my groups, through my company, through my coaching, and through how I live my life and the example I set for myself and others.
Yeah, this is a man that is doing the work and taking action. So thanks so much once again, brother, for being on this podcast. And I hope you have a blessed week, and speak to you soon.
Thank you so much, brother. Sending love to you.